but there's an issue I wanted to talk about. I figured it was something that I could riff on for a little bit. I got my notes here, and it was on the Olympic hopeful Sha'Carri Richardson being denied her place on the U.S. Olympic team in the Tokyo Olympics. Now, these are the Olympics that were supposed to take place last year, but we weren't able to have them because of the pandemic, obviously. So what I want to talk about is not just the fact that she was denied a place on the Olympic team, but also the fact that President Joe Biden gave the most low energy response he possibly could. Now, if you're a fan of Revolution Radio, Ida Vox Report, any of the content that I've been putting out, I want you to know that I voted for Joe Biden, right? Because he's not Donald Trump. We can have that conversation another day. But from day one, I said Joe Biden is low energy and uninspiring. All right. This is a guy who fought in favor of busing. This is the guy who wrote the crime bill. This is a guy who, in this historical moment, right? We are at a time in 2021 where things are changing, right? Donald Trump isn't president. We missed the boat with the 2020 elections. We really should have had like a Bernie Sanders presidency. You know, I'm always going to be bitter that Bernie Sanders never got to be president. But, you know, anyway, Joe Biden is who we have. But from day one, I've been saying low energy and uninspiring. Here's why. Here's the thing. And here's my problem with Joe Biden. It's the fact that he is a man that on all these historical issues has found himself on the wrong side. Like I said, with busing, a lot of racial issues, with the Iraq war. Okay. Now we come to this fact that Sha'Carri Richardson is without a doubt the fastest woman in the United States and probably the fastest woman on the planet. This is a girl who, or a woman, I'm sorry. This is a woman who is setting records. Okay. She's got really cool personal style. She has legions of fans across the country. And that's not necessarily why she should be allowed in the Olympics. You know, obviously you shouldn't be allowed just because you're a celebrity. I'm not in favor of that. But what I'm saying is we're at a moment now where things are changing, not just in the United States, but across the planet. Marijuana is not a performance enhancing drug because this is what happens. She was denied her spot on the U.S. Olympic team because as she says, her biological mother passed away recently, where she was living in Oregon. In Oregon, marijuana is legal, so she smoked some weed. And then what happens? She tested positive for it, but she did it to deal with her anxiety. Everybody on planet Earth knows that marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug, right? So the issue shouldn't be, did she break the rule? Yeah, she absolutely broke the rule, but it's a stupid rule because marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug. Right. It's not something that you're going to smoke and all of a sudden it's going to turn you into some super athlete. So it's problematic. So my thing is someone like Joe Biden, who was just given this slam dunk. He could have said, look, I'm president, because people are saying, well, what do you want Joe Biden to say? Well, Joe Biden's president of the United States. Now go look at what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently said. I wouldn't expect Joe Biden to say that much. I'm not expecting Joe Biden to call this an imperialist decision because it is, right? The problem is Joe Biden was given a slam dunk. The country is changing. The culture is changing. Attitudes towards marijuana are changing. It's legal in 19 states across the country. People are doing it. People are smoking marijuana instead of drinking alcohol. It's safer across the board than tobacco and alcohol. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's harmless. I'm not one of those people, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that marijuana is magic and it cures all. I'm not going to do that. It's a drug, but it's a recreational drug. It should be treated like that, but it is not a performance-enhancing drug. Right. I'm not going to go smoke a joint and then be able to outlift myself, outlift, you know, what I had lifted last time. But Joe Biden absolutely misses the mark. He could say, look, I'm president of the United States, and this is a stupid decision. It's an unfair, silly decision, he could say. He could say, look, the attitudes towards marijuana in our country have changed. Many marijuana laws are outdated and frankly racist. And to deny the fastest woman in the United States a place on the Olympic team because she smoked a joint, because she did a drug that's banned just because it's simply banned. Well, now's the time to apply pressure and make them change the rules. Who is the International Olympic Committee other than a handful of people? They can be swayed when the president of the most powerful country on the planet, the country that that frequently sends the most players of any country to the Olympics. I think we're represented in every sport there is. Joe Biden says the rules are the rules. Absolutely missing the mark. Low energy and uninspiring. I just, I don't like the long-term effects of marijuana, eating too many nachos. I mean, this is an Olympian. Like everybody knows, or I'm sorry, the biggest criticisms with marijuana is it makes you lazy. It makes you lethargic. Right. Well, she's an Olympian and a college student. So she's not lazy and lethargic. She's actually quite accomplished physically and intellectually at this point. I mean, it's absurd that the fastest woman in the country cannot compete in the Olympics because of marijuana. The president of the United States has a bully pulpit that, frankly, Republicans are masters of. Donald Trump is the master of it. George W. Bush was a master of it. Ronald Reagan was a master of it. Democrats, because they're not really the party of the working class, because every victory that's handed to them, they turn into almost certain defeat. They continually drop the ball. So they don't use the bully pulpit. You are the president of the United States, Biden. When you speak, people listen. Absolutely missing the mark. The rules are the rules. We know that, dude. It's time to change the rules. And you're the president. You can do something about it. You can highlight the issue. I'm not expecting you I'm not expecting Biden to wave a magic wand. That's not how it works. But they could say, hey, look, you want the United States to be involved in these Olympics? Change these stupid rules. It's something that's legal in many parts of the planet. It's something that people do to cope. It's something that people do so they don't they don't have to take pills and get addicted to all these hard drugs. Instead, what do? They smoke a joint. Leave them alone. If anything, marijuana would make her prone to overeating. But instead, no, we have a country founded by nerds, just run by nerds. I don't even want to say nerds. Nerds is the wrong term. Just prudes, right? I mean, I guess the founding fathers were forward thinking, but they were forward thinking in the time of kings and queens. So the year is 2021, and the president of the United States is shrugging his shoulders over a stupid marijuana law. I mean, as we're talking about racist convictions in the drug war, about how this country has absolutely failed the drug war at this point, marijuana is legal. I just, the opioid crisis is ongoing. I know a handful of people that have died from it. So, I mean, we're at this point where the war on drugs has failed. The cartels are still in Mexico. Drugs are still a part of international trade, still huge in places like Colombia and the rest of South America. But we adhere to these old laws and these old rules. I mean, this is Joe Biden at his best, folks. This is Joe Biden at his best. I mean, unfortunately, I guess it's not unfortunate, but like anti-doping is one of the last bipartisan issues in this country. It's one of the last issues in this country that Democrats and Republicans can pretend to care about. Now, I've got mixed feelings on anti-doping, whatever. I can have that conversation another day. But again, marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug. It is legal in 19 states in the U.S. Right? If there's people watching this, there's people looking to this saying it's not about race, it's absolutely about race. If not necessarily explicitly, but implicitly. There are people that aren't white people, white Europeans, that like to smoke marijuana to cope, that like to drink. I mean, drinking is more of a performance inhibitor than marijuana is. But there are people that like to do that other than take pills. If someone wants to smoke a joint because their mother died, you should let them, and it shouldn't be it shouldn't bar them from competing on the world's highest stage. Again, she is the fastest woman in the United States. This isn't some random college or high school student. This isn't some person, some obscure person. This is the fastest woman in the United States who's getting a month-long suspension, who cannot compete in the Olympics. So I hope something needs to be done. I mean, it's an absolute joke. Every 4 years, the Olympics creep back up, and they pull these people out of the woodwork because they want us to care, right? Every once in a while, you get a Simone Biles, but I don't care about the Olympics. And you finally have someone who just captures what the United States is right now, a snapshot of the United States and where we're at right now. Sha'Carri Richardson is somebody who a lot of people just instantly felt attached to, right? She has it. She's got that it factor. She's incredibly talented. And what do? She's not allowed on the Olympic team. And the president of the United States, the guy who's supposed to save us from Donald Trump, is just, the rules are the rules. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump would have gotten in that bully pulpit, and he probably would have trashed her, would have said she was embarrassing, or in an attempt to appease black people, he might have said something and come to her defense, right? Because Donald Trump knows how to work the camera. Joe Biden, I mean, it's still, he's better than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a grifter and a con man. And yeah, I mean, Joe Biden is those things too, but he's also a career politician. He's got a better head on his shoulders. It's a different type of con man. Let's be honest. One's a business con man. The other one's a politician. Politicians can be con men, and Joe Biden's a con man, but they're not the same. But that's pretty much all I want to say on that. Like I said, I'm trying out these short videos. Let me know what you think. Please like, please subscribe, please follow Revolution Radio. Follow us on NJRR Live. Check us out on the Idavox Report. You can find me at Perez Podcast on Twitter, Modernity and Absurdity Podcast. You can find me on Stitcher, iTunes. You can find us on Facebook. Hit me up. Let me know how you're doing. Take care out there.